Hello and welcome back to Umineko When They Cry. Last time we were introduced to a good chunk of the Oshiramiya family, and they had just boarded a plane for the first leg of their journey. So let's take it straight from there. Legend of the Golden Witch. This is a title card for the episode itself. Oshiramiya Battler. I don't remember this happening. I've forgotten. I don't know if this happens every episode or if this is just a first episode thing. Oshiramiya George, Jessica, Maria. Oh, Jessica we have not met yet. Oshiramiya Kinzo, Kraus, Natsuhi, Ava, and Hideyoshi. We also have to meet Kraus and Natsuhi. Those Oshiramiya Rudolph, Rosa, Kyrie. Then there is Nanjo Teramasa, who we have met, as well as Rano Genji, then Shannon, Kanon, Goda Toshiro, Kumasawa. Missed her last name. The ones we didn't meet there are all the servants we're going to meet soon. Umineko Nanako Korani, Rando of the Witch and Reasoning. There's so many. These scenes are big scenes with like lots of people in them at once. That tapers off a little bit later. You will get into more scenes where there's at the very least, even if there's 8 people, it tends to focus a little bit more, at least sometimes, on kind of a couple people who are actively talking and other people interjecting. Should have taken the boat. The boat. Fall! Fall! Ooh, 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 ooh. Maria, that's enough. But what a surprise. I thought there was nothing that could scare Battlerkin. This guy can't handle vehicles for some reason. Always yells about falling and sinking and stuff. You're a disgrace of a man, you are. Ah, shut up. That thing was seriously shaking way too much. I just got a little stressed since it was my first time on a small plane like that. You call that a little stressed? Sounds like it'd be fun to take an overseas vacation with you, Battlerkin. Would you like to go to Egypt with your aunt? You'd get to ride a plane for a full 14 hours. There's a good plan. Battlerkin, you should go let Eva Nissan toughen you up some. Still, it's so hilarious. Now, everyone's got their own strong and weak points. It's bad enough to laugh at him. Dad, you're laughing too. Hey, Maria-chan, you shouldn't laugh anymore. Shouldn't laugh anymore? Ooh? Yeah, damn it. Is being scared of planes really such a big deal? Everyone obliviously thinks I'm a big oaf now. Oh, sorry. Everyone obviously thinks I'm a big oaf now. Oh. I was really like, that cut to a car. Is that like a flashback? Because I was about to ask if there's supposed to be some sort of implication of a reason why Battler doesn't like vehicles. I think it is just him being a baby. Which is fair enough. People can be scared of things. We split up and took separate taxis from the airport to the harbour. From there on, we would be taking a boat to the island. The islands are right next to each other, so the distance of the trip wasn't that great. By boat, it was a leisurely 30 minutes to the island. When we reached the pier where the boat to the island was anchored, we saw a figure waving at us. This is our Shiramiya Jessica. This is the final of the grandchildren, or the children, siblings? Not siblings, cousins. George Nissan! It's been so frickin' long. Ah, Jessica-chan. It's been a year since I saw you. You've gotten taller again, haven't you? Yeah, don't give me that. It's embarrassing when you say it every year. Hey, Aniki, you've got to be kidding me. Is that really Jessica? Wait a sec. George? Is this big guy Battler? We both stared at each other. She definitely didn't look that in my memories, but I do remember her crazy way of talking. Yo, Jessica, what's this now? You're kidding me, you look like a woman now. What are these? Boobs? Even you managed to get a chest. Ehehe, let me rub them. Let me... Yeah, I will say this is not a story that stays a lot in weirdly horny anime trope stuff. There's just some of that here at the start. But it's gonna taper off, and it's going to be way more focused on other things. Don't screw around with me, I'm a blushing flower of 18. Of course my hair grew longer and I got these. What, you think I got boobs just to get funneled by you, loser? And speaking of you, sure, you got all ridiculously huge, but did you get a bit stronger too? Don't screw with me, I'll show you how much training I've done since back then. You're pissing me off. I'll beat you at your own game. This headstrong girl's name is Kanji. She was born under the same unlucky star as me, sharing the same kind of weird name. Anyway, Kanji is pronounced Jessica. She's Dad's older brother's daughter. That older brother happens to be the oldest son of the Ashuramiya family, so for now it means Jessica is the direct family heir. Since Jessica and I are the same age and sometimes had little boy-girl squabbles with each other, we've always been used to fighting and joking around together whenever the relatives gather. Jessica grew more quickly, so she always had me beat in terms of size and physical strength. When we scuffled in a contest of strength, it usually went Jessica's way. So even though I realized I'd grown bigger, part of my mind was still convinced that I couldn't beat Jessica. Whoa, what are you getting all serious for? Ow, ow, ow. Hey, this is nothing. Jessica, you've gotten weak. Shut up. I'm a girl. So of course I couldn't beat a guy with physical strength forever, right? Well, you've got a point there. The meat I put on my arms all went to your chest. It looks like it'd be a pretty even test of strength between my arms and your boobs, don't you think? I know. This part will not stick around. I told you, my boobs aren't for you to feel up. Besides, how about you? Did your cute little elephant-san get a bit bigger to get with the rest of you? Stop it, idiot! No, you perv! I'll be ruined for marriage. Don't touch my crotch. Don't say stuff people are gonna misinterpret. Honestly, I was so surprised at how feminine Jessica had become that I had to joke around like an idiot to hide it. The other half of this, I will say, is the fixation on gender roles here is not... it is not a... It is a meaningful writing choice and not someone who is unaware of gender roles, just writing, well, this is the natural state of the world. It is someone who knows what they're writing when they're doing this. Well, considering what a bossy brat she was 6 years ago, anyone would be surprised. And I guess she's just as surprised. She probably wasn't expecting to lose to me in a test of strength. After losing that easily, she must be shocked at how much I've grown in the past 6 years. 6 years. Once again, I'm being shown just what a huge gap of time that was. Is her portrait in? Actually, I didn't hear a sound effect, but it is. Yeah, as I was saying, Kraus and Natsuhi's daughter, in the absence of any irregularities, it is thought that she will eventually inherit the headship of the Ushuramiya family, or technically, her husband will. However, she seems to have no interest in all of this. She was born with weak bronchi and is sometimes assailed by sudden asthma attacks. It is noteworthy that it doesn't say she will inherit the headship, or it doesn't even say she is the heir. It's, in the absence of, if nothing changes, it is thought that she will eventually inherit the headship. And even then, it's like, oh, technically, gender roles wise, it'll go to her husband, not her. There's so many caveats in there. I am not surprised she has no interest, because I can't imagine what it would be like to structure your life around something going, well, I really hope this happens, but there are caveats. And when this refers to irregularities, it's absolutely also implying politicking from the other siblings who would rather maybe their children get to be the head instead. Crap! Total defeat. It's like I'm no match for you anymore. That's not true. Even Battler-kun must have his weaknesses. Right, Maria-chan? Ooh? Fall! Fall! Shh, cut it out, Maria. Let's keep that a secret, okay? Fall? The hell are you talking about? Hehe. Sorry, but there's no chance you'll see that weakness of mine now. After all, the nightmare plane trip is already over and done with. Only thing left is the nice, quiet splashing of the boat ride. I never thought I'd start loving that piece of junk boat this much. Ehehe. Huh? George Nissan, is there something wrong with his head? You'll understand soon. Very soon. At the time, I didn't get what Aniki meant by that big smile. And this, oh, Chiyo. Kumasawa Chiyo is one of the servants. What have we here? Ooh! Battler-san, how big you've grown. Who's it this time? It's an old lady with an apron. Oh yeah, that takes me back. I remember now. You remember her, right? It's Kumasawa-san, the servant. Very rude of him to seemingly not remember the servant very well. Their servant very well. But also, just be like, yeah, person who worked for you. When you consider, especially, well, I'll wait till they finish talking. I can never forget you, Kumasawa Ba-chan. After all, you haven't aged a bit in these past 6 years. If anything, I'd say you're looking younger than ever. Ho 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 ho. Lately my skin's been getting quite smooth and silky. And look, hasn't my chest gotten bigger as well? How do you like a little feel? You're kidding, right? My breast fondling is strictly limited to bouncy girls. Oh, I was quite bouncy in my youth. Don't be shy, fondle to your heart's content. Yeah, give me a break. It's girls I'm looking for, not grannies. The jokes I'd cracked about Jessica were being turned against me. Come to think of it, Kumasawa has always been the type to tease people. I do want to briefly mention two things, which is... yeah, okay. I guess one thing will maybe be more relevant later. This is one of the ways in which I say that the writer does knows what he's doing when he is writing to these gender roles and these horny anime tropes. The horny stuff is posturing that Battler is doing to kind of assert a certain sort of masculine identity that's then being turned back on him because he doesn't want to actually do it. And as soon as someone offers, he's then deeply uncomfortable with the notion and trying to make reasons why it's okay that he doesn't want to do it and it's not undermining his masculine presentation. And one thing with Umineko that will come up more is it's also somewhat meta about narrative storytelling and kind of different relationships that an audience has to the author of a work. And I do read this as somewhat meta in another way, that horny anime stuff having this kind of like light, flirty, gross stuff in it is posturing because they can't actually do anything sexual. Like if it's not porn, they're not going to have anything actually happen. So again, in those stories, it is still just posturing to be like, ooh, what if we gestured vaguely at something that we're not going to remotely do? Kumasawa-san, stop that now. People with one foot in the coffin shouldn't jump around. To sport with the young is the most rejuvenating medicine. Ho ho ho. It's rare for you to come pick us up, Kumasawa-san. I wonder what's gotten into you. Usually your lumbago kicks in whenever someone gives you a job to do. Ho ho ho, Eva-sama, you're as harsh as ever. I found myself with some urgent purchases to make, and while I was at it, I thought I would come welcome you all. Although it does give a bad impression if the one waiting to greet you is a decrepit old woman. Ho 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 ho. And Eva spoke sarcastically, but Kumasawa Bachan's years of experience were nothing to sneeze at. She was more than capable of smoothly and coolly deflecting that comment. Well, it feels bad to say it, but old Kumasawa Bachan may be past her prime as a servant. She might act as though she's in good health, but between the headaches and her lumbago, her body is wearing out. I don't know if that's lumbago or lumbago. I don't think I'm going to have to say it too many more times. To tell the truth, the very fact that she's still working is impressive. Impressive's one word for it. Some of us might wonder if there's any need for someone who's been a servant to a rich family for so many years to have to continue working. How old is she this year again? She must be pushing 80 at least. It's incredible that she's still able to act so cheerily. You just seem to get more and more lively. Oh, that's right. Here you are. It's the tea I told you about before. Look, I bought you some. Please do try it later on. Aunt Rosa took a souvenir bag out from her suitcase. To think that she remembered a promise that she'd apparently made last year and faithfully bought it. This sort of thoughtfulness was just like Aunt Rosa. She wasn't the kind of person who would forget or break a promise. Kumasawa Bachan seemed deeply touched, not only that Aunt Rosa had remembered this year-old promise, but that she would bring a gift to a simple servant like her. This woman is Kumasawa Chiyo-san. She's a senior servant who's been working at the Ashuramiya head family household for many years. As you'd expect from someone her age, manual labor isn't her strong point, but she's a kind of super servant who can handle just about anything else, from kitchen work to cleaning and laundry. It seems like her only flaw is a tendency to slack off. I hear she tries to get away from heavy or troublesome work by playing up her chronic diseases. In Kumasawa Bachan's case, this was probably a sign of craftiness rather than laziness. Though it probably doesn't impress those paying her salary. Ah well, even if she's pretty flaky when it comes to work, I could never dislike her. I guess that's probably because of her cheerfulness and her constant smile. Let's see. Yeah. The servants obviously get their own little character profiles too. This elderly woman is a part-timer who, though she has quit her job several times along the way, has served the family for a great many years in total. Oh, I either completely forgot or maybe didn't even know that was the case. That she quit her job several times. I'm gonna keep an eye out for that. She is crafty and more than competent when it comes to performing her duties, but because of her chattiness and love of rumors, she is not highly regarded as a servant. I don't see what being chatty and, well, okay. I don't see what loving rumors has to do with her being a servant. I can see why they don't want to hear from their servants and would rather just the jobs get done invisibly. As much as they all kind of seem to have an amicable relationship of like, oh yes, it's Kumasawa, ha ha. But also, she spends all this time chatting, playing up her various illnesses. It's like, she's pretty old. Maybe she should be allowed to retire. I think they said she was 80. But maybe that was just battlers. I don't know if... I don't know if I can go back to whenever that was. A senior... Well, senior doesn't mean that. Yeah, I'm not sure if she's actually 80 or if that was just offhand assertion of battlers. Hey, glad to see you're still in fine spirits. How's your back doing then? Even with the medicine, it's not getting one whit better. According to the doctor, nothing can be done for this one. It's what you might call an incurable disease. Ho ho ho. Sorry, that's not a joke. That's just bad medical news. It's not like severe, I guess, but it's still like, that's not fun. That seems like it sucks. I guess all you can do with that is laugh. Different conversation, I guess. Anyway, Jessica-chan just keeps getting prettier. Good thing she takes after Natsuhide-san. Really? Personally, I don't think we look alike at all. I mean, I don't even want to be like my parents. Because I got zero respect for them. Now, you shouldn't say such things. Though there are quite a few people who don't want to be like their parents in our family. Ah, that's me. You sure as hell better not take after me. Your nose looking like mine already pisses me off. If you say so. Looks more like curious. What are you talking about? You're surprisingly alike, you and father. This is one thing I want to mention really briefly. When she says capital F father, she's talking about Kinzo. And it's just slightly strange that, I mean, for understandable reasons, Kyrie has basically adopted the notion that she is an Ashuramiya, like, she is married into this family. But Hideyoshi, like, they both talk as, this is our family, this is the family. If we're referring to the family, it is like this whole unit. Come on, you can't be serious. Just how am I like Dad? You're a lot like him, especially in how arrogant and prideful you are. Father's blood is especially strong in you and Nissan. Wouldn't you say, Rosa? Nissan being their oldest brother, Kraus. Interesting how they're saying their father's blood is strong in the two sons, and then the two daughters are going, yeah, blood's strong in him, aren't they? In them, aren't they? Oh, absolutely. Kraus Nissan and Rudolf Nissan are almost unbelievably like that. And actually, about that, it's funny how it's referred to as his blood, like an innate characteristic, not, oh, you take after him because you've mimicked his behaviors. It's like, no, you just are intrinsically, from the core, a thing you've had since birth. Blood inside of you comes from him. Alright, already. Why am I the only one under fire from the girls? Hideyoshi-Nisan, give me a hand, please. My, Rudolph-kun, you're always so popular with the ladies. I'm jealous. Wahahaha. Ho 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 ho. As usual, you're popular enough to make me jealous. Well then, everyone, shall we head over to the boat? Come now, Maria-san. Let's get on the boat together, okay? Get on the boat together? Ooh. Everyone gets on together. Ooh. Hell yeah, this time around, I'm not going to be scared. I'm used to being shaken by the waves. With that piece of junk fishing boat, I'm less afraid of the shaking than the engine breaking down and the boat drifting off. Oh yes, Battler-kun, I forgot to tell you. That fishing boat was completely worn out, so it was taken out of commission a few years back. Now we get taken to the island in a different boat. Oh right, it's Battler's first time in the new boat. It's super comfy and freaking fast. It can go at crazy high speeds. Oh, that means less travel time, right? That sounds great. Having to worry about sinking is less scary than being on a plane, but it'd still be awesome to get it over with as quick as possible. Ooh? Is Battler going to go fall again? That's only on airplanes. Everything's fine now. Anyway, it's the captain's pride and joy, a kind of modded high-speed boat. Seems like he's got it pretty souped up. He was bragging about how he attached 4 base, high-efficiency propellers to make it break 40 knots, or something like that. He talks about it all the time, so I've sort of memorized the spiel. Yeah, I've got it memorized too, since we hear about it every year. The captain says he's been obsessed with modding ever since he lost a speed contest with a foreign boat ages ago. According to him, that opponent managed to break 30 knots with just a fishing boat. And his thirst for revenge match got him to build an awesome, all-new, super high-speed modded boat. I'm sure you'll just love it, Battler. Super high-speed modded boat. My first thought was that this would be much better than some beat-up boat that might sink at any moment. But for some reason, I got this feeling of foreboding. Probably just overthinking it. I love the 2 smiles of them, like, yeah! And I was like, fuck. I don't think he is overthinking it. Hey Battler, maybe you should just swim to the island. Battler-kun, you shouldn't lean over the railing too much. You might fall. Ooh, fall! Damn it! So this is why we're all grinning back there? So this is the super high-speed boat that the captain started modding. Oh yes. That piece of junk fishing boat from 6 years ago doesn't hold a candle to this guy. Whoa, it's shaking. Gonna fall. Ooh. Gonna fall. If I land, I'll land in the ocean and drown. Where's the parachute? I mean, where's the buoy? Give me a life jacket. Battler, what the heck are you doing that for? Jessica-chan, Maria-chan, it's not nice to tease. Battler-kun, if you're feeling scared, then just don't come out on the deck. I think you'll be able to calm down a bit if you go inside the boat. That's a no thank you, Aniki. Shipwreck victims are always the ones inside the boat. The survivors are usually those on the deck during the accident. So I'm staying right here. But it's shaking. I'm gonna fall. Whoa! Shake! Gonna fall! Ooh, ooh. Maria, I told you to behave yourself. But Battler-kun, it looks like you really can't handle it. I'll go tell the captain to slow down for you. Whoa, Aunt Rosa, thank you! I can't tell you how that's slow. I can tell you now that safe, slow driving is definitely the way to go, even on the sea. Don't do that, Rosa. Trials and tribulations are important for young men. Isn't that right, Battler-kun? You'd better be able to overcome a little scare like this. Otherwise you'll never be able to go to Egypt with your aunt. Whoa, Aunt Ava, you're so mean! Oh no, I'm gonna fall! Life jacket! Parachute! Whoa! Wait, gotta spin it around and think that way. What's the enemy aiming for? Is he doing this to scare me? If that's what he's aiming for, too bad. Like hell, I'll be scared. But no, I'm gonna fall. So, after I made a huge fool of myself for a while, Aunt Rosa had a talk with the boat captain, and he slowed down to a more manageable speed for me. That's a bit better. Thought I was gonna die earlier. Apparently the max speed I can tolerate is extremely slow. But that just now was completely insane. The whole boat was shaking, sliding around, leaping on the ocean's surface. It felt like I was riding on the back of a flying fish. Jessica was still guffawing at me as I leaned against the railing, tired and disheartened. I lost in that strength contest earlier, but I'm glad to know I'm no worse off where it really counts. But seriously, damn it, go ahead and laugh. One of these days I'm gonna find your weakness and get back at you, and then your boobs will be mine to squish. Yeah, sure, good luck with that. Wahahaha. Ooh. Battler all weak. Yeah, Battler all weak. I want to die on land, not in the ocean or the sky. Maria was patting my back, so I patted her head in return. Her expression was blank, as usual, but I realized that she wanted to console me. Battler-kun, the captain's throwing in drinks to make up for this. Would you like one? To calm yourself down? Droid Aniki and Kumasawa Bachan brought us all ice-cold cans of soft drinks, covered with beads of water. Judging from Kumasawa's big grin, our parents inside the boat were probably all rolling around laughing at my moment of pure terror. Damn it, I'm so embarrassed, I can't bear to face any of them. If I didn't change the subject somehow, I had the feeling I'd be the butt of everyone's jokes for the whole trip. So I decided to think of something harmless to talk about. Hey, Jessica. How are Uncle Kraus and Aunt Natsuhi doing? My old man and Mom? Unfortunately, they're fine. Though every other word out of their mouths is study, which pisses me off. I'm so jealous, since it doesn't look like Uncle Hideyoshi or Uncle Rudolph would say stuff like that. Ha ha ha. Oh no. Before I had my exams, my parents kept pressing me about it over and over. I thought it was annoying then, but now I'm grateful. Ha, I knew it. You really are awesome, Aniki. Anyway, I have to look after myself. No one tells me what to do. Well, it's not like I'd listen if they did. Hehehe. Battler-san, have you still not returned to your parents' home? Well, I kinda go back now and then. I've got lots of clothes and stuff left at the house I was living in until recently. Ooh? Battler has 2 houses? Something like that. Why? Why do you have 2 houses? Ooh? Ooh? Only Maria, who couldn't really grasp the situation, voiced this naive question. However, the others just shot nervous glances at me, choosing not to respond even though they knew the answer. Maria? Look, you can see the harbor now. Look over there. Can you see it? Ooh? Saw the harbor! Saw the harbor! Apparently, Jessica was trying to be nice by changing the subject. Ah, well. I'd rather not talk about it if I can help it, but it's uncomfortable to have it treated like some kind of weird taboo. I don't mind it that much myself anymore. I may be a member of the Ashuramiya family, but the truth is that for these last 6 years, I've been living with my grandparents on my late mother's side, and I've even been using her family name. When those grandparents passed away one after the other, I basically had no choice but to go back and live with the old bastard. Don't get me wrong. I didn't just run away from home or anything like that. The only one at fault here is my dad. I don't really blame Kirie-san. Being able to hold that old bastard's reins and ride him out is no mean feat. Still, the way that old bastard betrayed my mom, well, unfortunately I still haven't fully gotten over that. Ahem. We'll be getting there soon. George Aniki cleared his throat, trying to change the subject. Please forgive my indiscretion. It seems this old woman has said too much already. If I have hurt your feelings. Hehe. I don't mind it, and no one's feelings are hurt. Don't worry, Kumasawa-bachan. Kumasawa-san seemed to regret speaking out of turn. But I was more concerned about being worried over for something like that, so I stood up and passed it off lightly. This, I feel, says a lot about the power dynamic of the fact that they have a personal relationship with this servant and the others later, but there's a power dynamic happening where she doesn't just get to tease him indiscriminately. Sometimes if she's worried she stepped over the line, she does need to just pull it back and be like, forgive my indiscretion. Like, the other stuff she's been saying is so much more casual and like teasing and stuff, but she now has to be like, yo, if this is an actual fuck up, I'm going to do a real apology for it. Even though these are the children too, this isn't even like Kinzo would probably require an apology in this way. These children don't, but she still needs to in case maybe they do. After that, I had a sip of my drink and headed over to Maria and Jessica, who were gazing at the silhouette of the island. Ooh? Battler, I saw the island. I saw the island. I saw the island. There, there, there. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Where is it? Oh, I see it now. Even after 6 years, the island hasn't changed a bit. God, they're going to say 6 years so many times. But it's relevant and important in another way. Actually, yeah, I'll talk about it after this, actually. The small island silhouette in front of us had gotten pretty close. This island's name is Rokkenjima. It's a small island about 10 kilometers around, located in the Izu archipelago. Since they call this archipelago the Izu 7, lots of people think there are only 7 islands, But that's not true. There's actually several more, and Rokkenjima is one of the minor islands that don't get counted. Even if that weren't the case, I doubt you'd find many people who knew about this island. Only people connected to the Ashuramiya family ever go there. In other words, outsiders and tourists never have any reason to care about it. So you'll never find this island's name in a travel brochure. After all of Rokkenjima is an estate possessed by the Ashuramiya head family. Only the Ashuramiya family lives there, and only people connected to the Ashuramiya family come and go to and from there. There's nothing there except a harbour and a mansion. The vast majority of the island is still just uncultivated forest. Such a waste, when it could be made into a nice golf course or something. I love just the tiny hints that this family are definitely shitty rich people, because this idea of what if we made the island useful? Like a golf course. However, when you realize that the entire coastline is a private beach, it starts to sound pretty magnificent. You've probably guessed by now, but to put it simply, well, the Ashuramiya family is just rolling in dough. The head family apparently possesses a vast fortune, and Dad and the others who make up the branch families have built up plenty of wealth for themselves, finding success in their respective businesses. I've been living a commoner's life at my grandparents' home these 6 years, so I'd completely forgotten. But the old bastard's house really is elegant, and everything about it is tuned to match the snobbish tastes of the annoying rich. Come think of it, I guess that makes George, Anarchy, Jessica, Maria, and me wealthy, high-class gentlemen and ladies. Yeah, come to think of it, you are part of the rich family. You're not separate from it just because you've been living with your commoner family. And even then, I would be curious to know what the actual living standards of the people he was with were. Needless to say, none of us think of ourselves that way at all. I don't see myself as being rich, and George Anarchy, who takes self-discipline very seriously, doesn't let himself get too comfortable. Jessica is always complaining that she'd rather move to the city than be rich, and Maria is still a kid who isn't even interested in money at all. Does that attitude really make us any less snobbish? From the perspective of people in poverty who can't pay the bills, we really have been blessed with a lot. Yeah, that's true. This isn't the place to explain any further, so I won't. Well, if he's stopping there, I'm going to say this is going to be relevant because the fact that they have a different narrative to what people... Did he say in poverty? Is that actually the word he used? Yeah. I don't think you have to be in poverty to feel like these people have been blessed with a lot. You could be like... You can be just working class, you can even be middle class, and probably still look at this and be like, they own a fucking island? What? It's just not even on maps, which in a funny way makes it feel more like a bougie thing. But like, the fact that from Badler's perspective, he's been living a commoner's life. He's like, oh, I forgot even this, because it's just not a thing I thought about. I didn't feel like this was what my identity was. But is still going to have servants, and I forget how he interacts with the servants, so perhaps there will be a strong element of him kind of being like, this is weird, could we not? But the idea that he's going to just come back and be served by people, but still feel like, I don't think of myself as a rich person. There's a tension there because there is no objective reality to the situation. There's an objective reality of how much money does a person have, but at what point do you decide if someone is rich? Especially when someone is a child, how much of that money is personally theirs? How much of that money are they directly getting? What are the kind of side benefits they're getting? If Badley's not even living with Rudolph, what does being part of a rich family get him? Because it's not nothing, but also there are downsides to living in a kind of rich family, because Jessica's complaining that she'd rather move to the city than be rich. We'll find out more about what that means later, but not everyone wants to be part of not everyone necessarily wants to be the heir to a huge family fortune, because it doesn't just provide you with money, it also provides you with other responsibilities. So the fact that the idea that they wouldn't necessarily consider it a blessing is not just them being kind of spoiled people who don't know what they've gotten. There is an element too of you need to look at this from their perspective to understand what Battler is saying here. And if you only look at it from the perspective of I'd sure like to have money and not have to care about my bills, you won't understand their motive. Like, you kind of, it's almost like understanding their motivation. You need to actually see things from that way to really kind of, you don't have to empathize, you don't have to be like, oh, these poor rich people, but you do have to understand their perspective if you're going to like make any sense of what they're saying. Anyway, it's the same as not being able to choose the parents you're born from. I didn't ask to be born into a rich family, and I don't think it's really something to be envied. It can be pretty trying when people are prejudiced against you just because you're rich. This is so funny because it's both responding to a thing I just said, but also, come on. Anti-rich prejudice. It can be pretty trying when people are prejudiced against you just because you're rich and refuse to judge you by your merits. You do need to read this line in the context of what I was saying. You should try to understand a person and not just the broad identity or category they are part of. That's all I'm gonna say. As I pondered these sentimental thoughts, Maria started shouting out. Maria started shouting and leaned over the railing. Ooh. Gone. What's wrong, Maria? Did you drop something? Ooh, ooh. Gone, gone. Ooh, 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 ooh. Maria kept yelling, gone, gone. At first it sounded as though she had dropped something, but while she shouted, she also pointed out over the ocean. What's wrong? What's gone? I'll look for it too if you want. What is it? If she dropped something, she probably would have looked down at the floor, but Maria was pointing out over the ocean. One would assume by that gesture that she had spotted something, but she kept saying that something wasn't there. Strange. However, since my last memories of this place came from 6 years ago, I was able to spot it before Aniki, who comes here every year. Huh? If I remember correctly, wasn't there a torii or something on top of a small crag around here? That's right, it was definitely there. I remember it well, since as we get closer to the island, it's the first thing to greet us, like a landmark. Wow, you're amazing, Battler. Even though it's been 6 years, you remembered. It was here, wasn't it? I remember too. The tutelary god's shrine and that torii-like thing were standing all alone on that crag. And now that you mention it, they are gone, aren't they? I'm pretty sure they were still there last year. Gone! Gone! Ooh, ooh, ooh! Maybe they were washed away by the waves or something? It was a small crag, so it probably got worn away over time. Well, that's my theory too. It was last summer that it disappeared, but they say They say an enormous lightning bolt came crashing down one evening and smashed the shrine. The fishermen whispered that having a thunderbolt fall upon our honored tutelary god must be a portent of approaching misfortune. Kuwabara, Kuwabara. Kumasawa-san smiled impishly as if teasing us, rubbing her hands together while intoning a Japanese phrase meant to ward off lightning. However, Maria apparently took this seriously, and stared fixedly over the ocean to where the crag housing the shrine god was supposed to be. A portent of misfortune. Ooh. Enough, Kumasawa-san. Maria isn't old enough to get that kind of joke. It's okay, Maria-chan. It's just a coincidence. Nothing scary is gonna happen. George Anarchy put a hand on Maria's shoulder to calm her down, but Maria's sharp-eyed expression didn't waver. Misfortune. Misfortune. Maria muttered that word over and over. Apparently, repeating a single word over and over is a habit Maria's had for a long time. However, since the word she was saying was literally an ill omen, it was a bit creepy. Hey now, Maria. If you say it over and over like that, misfortune will really end up happening, you know? I tapped Maria's other shoulder. Maria whipped her head around, stared into my face, and spoke unblinkingly. Ooh. Misfortune is coming. Huh? And just where is it coming from? I answered lightheartedly, trying to break the tension in the air. At that moment, Maria held up a finger, raised her arm high, and pointed up to the heavens. When I looked up, I saw that the sky was still just as cloudy, but it had grown a great deal more leaden than it had been that morning. That's right, they were saying that a typhoon was approaching. We had planned to spend one night on the island, but if this storm doesn't pass quickly, I won't be able to make it to school on Monday. Well, I guess it makes for a pretty good excuse to be absent. Ooh? She apparently sensed some kind of misfortune in this cloudy sky. She's been muttering that non-stop for a while now. Girls at Maria's age tend to be very impressionable. She's just about the age that many girls start to get excited about sixth senses and whether they have any psychic potential and stuff. For all we know, this might be due to her childish, sensitive nature. It's okay, Maria-chan. The weather might get worse tonight, but tomorrow it'll clear up and become a pretty blue sky. Ooh. Pretty blue sky. Ooh. That's right. By tomorrow, it'll be a pretty blue sky. There's no rain that doesn't end, and no clouds that never clear. Ooh. Rain that doesn't end. Clouds that never clear. Ooh. I feel like, George, your attempt to make things clear, George's attempts to just smooth things over, she's really thinking about the possibility of that not being the case. I know the typhoon's coming, but soon it'll go away. It'll be okay, Maria. Ooh. Ooh. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Maria started yelling, ooh, ooh. It looked as though she was having a tantrum because no one could understand what she was trying to say. What in the world is Maria so desperately trying... What in the world is Maria trying so desperately to warn us about? Unable to understand her, we couldn't help but feel a vague sense of misfortune. I've heard that everyone can feel the supernatural, but that it weakens as you age. That might mean that Maria, the youngest one of us all, still possessed some kind of sense that the rest of us had lost. I wonder if that sense is sending her a warning. At that moment, Kumasawa-san quietly opened her mouth. Rumor has it that long ago Rokkenjima was. Kumasawa-san, let's not talk about that now. Just as Kumasawa-san was about to tell some kind of story, Jessica sharply interrupted her. It's too early to start spilling all the lore. Jessica's tone was extremely firm for her. I wanted to push her further, just out of simple curiosity. But judging by the look on Jessica's face, whatever Kumasawa-ba-chan was likely to say would probably make Maria even more uneasy. If I did try to press her for the story, the odds were pretty good that it wouldn't be anything bright and cheery. Ho ho ho, I do apologize about that. The wind here is hard to bear for the elderly, so if you would excuse me now. Gossipers have no reason to hang around after they've been told to stop chatting. When Kumasawa-san finally realized that she'd overstepped her bounds, she went back inside the boat. So, just going back to what I said earlier, when Kumasawa felt the need to actually give a legitimate apology, Battler himself here, the one who's been away for 6 years, still feels like it. Yeah, actually, I haven't said this. All this narration, it's important that from Battler's perspective, it is his view of things. It is not objective reality. It's him explaining things. It's his internal thoughts and monologue. He has said that she overstepped her bounds. So if Kumasawa-san overstepped, then there is a sense of propriety that even Battler has about, well, she is a servant, she can't get too personal. We like the idea of being able to chat to the person who is working for us. But at the same time, she should know her place and not feel like she can talk freely. So, given the fact that one of the children who's probably less invested in this, and one who's been away from everyone for 6 years, still feels like this is actually this propriety is important, you can imagine what other family members might be like. After she left, Uncle Hideyoshi showed up in her place. Since he'd arrived mid-conversation, he completely failed to notice the complicated atmosphere that hung about the scene. So he refreshingly and unwittingly swept that atmosphere aside. So in the end, it was his lack of tact that brightened the mood. Looks like we're almost there. Okay, just a bit more. Took forever at the speed we went today, didn't it? Wonder whose fault that was. Wahahahaha. Aw, Uncle Hideyoshi, give me a break already. Tahaha. So much laughing. I'm sorry, it sounds terrible. Ahaha. Come on, don't stop there. Seriously, thanks to Battler here, it's taken forever. Ooh. Maria probably thought that everyone was refusing to listen to her. She hung her head, wearing a fretful expression. As she did, George Anarchy crouched down to meet her eyes and spoke to her kindly. Maria-chan, there's nothing to be afraid of, because we're all together. There's nothing to be afraid of if we're together. Go ahead and say it. Ooh. There's nothing to be afraid of if we're together. Yes. There's nothing to be afraid of if we're with each other. Ooh. That's right, exactly what George Anarchy said. If we stick together, there'll never be anything at all to be afraid of. Right, Jessica? Yeah, no doubt about that. What George Nissan says is always true, Maria. Ooh. George Oni-chan, always true. It's like setting up a logic puzzle. Yes. I don't lie. So trust me. There's nothing to be afraid of if we're all together. I don't lie, so trust me is like the least trustworthy 6 words you could say to somebody. Ooh. George Oni-chan doesn't lie. I trust you. There's nothing to be afraid of if we're all together. Ooh, not afraid. Maria jumped into George Aniki's arms and hugged him tightly. After Aniki patted her head, she jumped away again. Her facial expression had undergone a 180-degree change, turning back to normal. She was once again the ordinary Maria. Ooh. There's nothing to be afraid of anymore because we're together. Ooh, ooh. Yeah, that's it. You look all better now. You're strong and that's awesome. Ooh. I'm awesome. You are, Maria. Hey now, what's going on here? Maria-chan didn't get seasick, did she? Haha. Well, something like that. We'll be arriving soon. The harbor was already drawing near. Okay, our first one of these interstitial loading screen or end cards. These feel like good stopping points. I'm gonna check if there's... Oh, and the clocks, of course. This shows the passage of time. When it comes up, it's not always here, but it is currently... Was that... Yeah, 10:30. To use the digital clocks. I'm just gonna check if we've got any updated tips because I don't remember if there's a signal that would show us, like if there's a visual indicator that new information has appeared. And also, I have a feeling there won't be any until we have every character filled in, or at least very little is going to be updated. But eventually those will actually change over time. New stuff will appear, new episodes will have different descriptions and so forth. But I'm going to leave it for there on this one. Thank you for watching. Please do support this game or others by the same group. When we get back next time, we'll actually be on Rokkenjima as the boat arrives.